with 8 mana producers on turn 1, up to Huntmaster of the Fells, into Blade Splicer, all the usual suspects. He also has 2 copies of Birthing Pod, which allows him to find bullets such as Daybreak Ranger, Acidic Slime, Inferno Titan, and he mentioned, we had him on camera after the match, he mentioned his plan in this matchup is actually to cut the Birthing Pod and all the weird Singletons and just board in a bunch of Incinerates, Thalias, and Daybreak Rangers.
Become more of a red-green deck or traditional aggro deck. Try to, basically, with what Birds lets him do is it lets him sneak under the counter spells and under the control spells. So really, he's gonna try to battle David from the get-go to never really let David control the game at any point.
This is also 2 Pro Tour champions battling off in the feature match area. So you
very
can't do a whole lot better than this.
Sharfman Pro Tour Nagoya champion, Kibler Pro Tour Dark Ascension in Honolulu. So both within the last year have won a Pro Tour. Sharfman also winning a Grand Prix. Pretty good matchup.
Yeah, not a bad resume between the 2 players. Yeah, so we'll be getting underway momentarily. Kibler had mentioned, this deck that he built was a lot of the consideration is obviously for beating Delver. So he has a main deck Daybreak Ranger, which breaks up a lot of the flyers. He can go get that with Green Sun Zenith or his Birthing Pods, or obviously just naturally draw it. And then after board, he caps up to a full 4. So
a little bit of history on the pro levels. Kibler already a Platinum Pro for next year. Just talking to Sharfman, asked him if he was in the same boat. Actually, not at all. The new system. So he's telling me this tournament means a lot to him. It worked out. That sounds all he, as you recall, won a Grand Prix in Paris, won a Pro Tour in Nagoya. Well, none of those are counting into the newer system, and actually, he's fighting this tournament to lock just gold for next year.
Yeah.
So he took the second half.
Gold
of the year.
Is basically gravy train.
Gold is like the old level 4. It's all your invites, no fees. So He after his good finishes, he decided to take a break next year, and then on the turnaround, he found himself in kind of a hole when he started this season. So talking to him, definitely needing the win here for sure.
Make it easier for them to find their seat. If you noticed any errors in the pairings with your match
one of the changes I've noticed recently in Delver, Sharfman's running a full set of Thought Scours. That's a card that really almost one of the only Dark Ascension cards that are seeing a lot of play. Well, other than Linger Spells, which is in traditional Delver, though, I've noticed it's crept, from a 2 of to a 3 of and almost a 4 of now.
Yeah, I mean, the efficiency that it interacts with so many pieces of the deck so well between Pike, Ponder, Delver, Snapcaster Mage. I mean, there's a million different things.
And actually, Sharfman, the only equipment he's running, 3 Pikes. No swords.
And we've seen actually a lot of the Delver decks today have been on 3 Pikes, and then they have swords as appropriate in the sideboard, but a lot of people have moved away from sword main.
He even only 1 sword in the board at that. So yeah, that's excellent.
It still kind of boggles my mind that these decks don't play with Gitaxian Probe as well. But I suppose I'll just keep beating that drum.
I'm with you on it. It seems like I'd love to ask him about it because it seems like such a free roll to me.
Yeah, I mean the answer that I've gotten from a lot of players that I know and respect as quality players. They say it's because the deck doesn't have room for it, but it's a free cantrip. So how is that even possible?
Casting
Anyhow, turn one Bird from Kibler is matched by a turn 1 Ponder here by David.
Would love to find a gut shot off the Ponder. And does he get it? He does. Yep. Do you know he had it, or did he find it?
I think I didn't see a gut shot in the top 3 off the Ponder, so I think he had it.
And a Pilgrim with no second land.
A gut shot or a Snapcaster would be devastating here.
Right.
Grand Prix competitors. As soon as we get the results from this round entered, we will post standings.
Ponder, so good. No Snapcaster for him. But even a Snapcaster here would be pretty brutal.
It would be devastating, yes.
A few minutes after we post
especially
those
because remember, Avacyn's Pilgrim.
They will become final.
Well, so he's not a red green deck, so actually he's playing more Pilgrims than Landmore Elves.
And bring them
and
up
he's
to
Vapor Snag.
Having said all that, welcome to the 9th and final round of Swiss. You have 50 minutes.
Big draw from Kibler there. A second land and a Strangleroot Geist.
So Sharfman's life total a little low. Geist St. Traft. So his own Geist. Kibler doesn't have to do too much right now. That Geist's not too threatening, actually.
Yeah, as long as he can hold back his if he can hold back his Geist, then.
All right, we see the Pilgrim.
Another
Strangleroot. Probably 1 crashes in.
I think he's happy to hold both of them back.
Just in case I guess we'll have by Snapcaster, Vapor Snag. He'd really can't be too cavalier and letting Geist St. Chaps hit him.
Once your opponent has already like kind of effectively mulliganed with that Vapor Snag, which is what Sharfman's Sharfman. Oh, I'll get in.
There's the other. Fine, he was more than happy.
Happy to race.
You know, yeah, these creatures, these 1 and 2 mana creatures, Stranded Root Geist is really like these mono green decks, which we've seen a lot of today. I think that's their backbone. That's how they're performing really well against these Delver decks.
Yeah.
And Pike right on the guy. So sure, Sharfman will accept the race and go for it. Dealing a Gut Shot, a Vapor Snag, a Ponder.
2 Ponders, so 4.
So that's a
6,
whopping 10 damage.
It's a 10 ball, not bad.
Well, probably can't take one more of those. Putting Kibler to 9, I believe. Which this is where Vapor Snag just becomes such a terrifying card.
Right. It's going to warp Kibler's play for the rest of the game, probably. Just.
He can't take another hit.
Oh.
And Metamorph.
Pretty awesome for Kibler there.
Excellent.
Legend rolls the Geist and.
Smack crashes in for 5. Puts Kibler down to 7. With the Moorland Haunt, though, he's still got to be.
Yep.
He actually has to 5. He needs to present an answer to it. Actually, right now his board doesn't. Well, it's only 5 damage in the air off the Pike, right?
Yeah.
Currently. Players,
so it's not too hard.
That's 1 Vapor Snag.
Right. It's not hard to
6 and the life. Yeah, 1 Vapor Snag away from being a lethal swing.
If you finished with 2 wins or better in the standard sealed, come on up and see me. Collect your prize.
Or an invisible
standard
stalker.
Sealed with 2 wins or better. Come get your prize.
Second Haunt out of Sharfman. That second one won't really come into play.
Yeah. And having a 5th land drop here is really important, just to be able to make a 2 mana play and Haunt.
He's going to Haunt main phase and equip. Which, actually, I don't know if it really slows down the clock at all. It's good on mana, but blocking a Stranded Root Geist here actually
I don't know why he would.
Little.
I'm not sure why he would run that on the main phase.
I mean, for me, what it says is he doesn't have a mana leak. He's probably just cold, and perhaps next turn, if he were to draw a Ponder or a Snapcaster, it's very efficient on the mana. The O-Ring.
I mean, you can only be exposing yourself to harm.
And he goes on the token, not.
Yep, Kibler's just presenting 2 lethal attackers next turn.
Right, Sharfman drops to 2.
I think the fact that Sharfman took his turn just making a Haunt token represents a pretty weak holding, so Kibler's just willing to put him up against the wall.
So what he can watch up, 1 Snapcaster Mage here actually could be lethal. Or because you could bounce a Geist, block a Geist.
Well, he basically needs to be able to survive the turn and generate a Moorland Haunt token.
That's an awful lot of mana.
Yeah, you're asking a ton. Yeah.
So I'm not sure what he would be looking for here.
I mean, a Gut Shot also. No, it can't get him out of combat. He's at 2.
He
can't cast it anymore.
Let's see. Dungeon Geists would be a good find.
Yes.
There you go. He has 2 in the main. I think that's what he wants to look for.
Yeah.
And he's keeping on top, which makes me think he's found it. Or at least, or perhaps there's another line.
He had it already.
And he just says go. So, okay, so I think he's found a Snapcaster Mage then. To keep himself alive. A chump block, a bounce. That buys him another turn. Now it doesn't buy him another turn.
That does not,
And Stranded Root Geist, just an excellent tool against Delver.
So Kibler not sending the Pilgrim because it doesn't change his clock at all. Yep.
And it's enough. So Brian Kibler with the first game over David Sharfman. I think all mana creatures and Stranded Root Geists, that's exactly the plan he wants to be on.
Yep, and Kibler was actually missing red mana the entire game too. So,
right.
Yep. So like we said before, we know already Kibler's plan is to cut all of his Singleton Misers and the pods and bring in 3 Daybreak Rangers, 2 Incinerates, and 2 Thalias.
Over on Sharfman's side, he has a Timely Reinforcements in the board. I think I really like that card here. Especially when, remember, Kibler's not just playing Stranded Root Geist, he's also playing Blade Splicers. Timely seems like an excellent card against that strategy. If he has 2 more Dungeon Geists, he could go to 4.
Yeah, I mean, Dungeon Geist seems very good against the red-green creature deck.
Yeah.
Kibler has 2 Incinerates to bring in to help fight that card, but still certainly worth bringing in.
Yeah, outside of that, I'm not sure too much that I like to take out. I'm not sure how much more I want to bring in outside of that.
The thing is, like, unless, I don't know, Sharfman doesn't, if he knows what Kibler's playing or not, but the fact that Kibler didn't present red mana at all that first game means that he might not know about Huntmaster, which means that Celestial Purge might not be coming in. You might not want it anyway because
it's only that card. Really, sometimes the game plan against Huntmaster the Fowls is to never let it show up.
Sure.
Because even when he shows up and you purge it, it's still 2 life. It's still a wolf. And basically your turn because you're a very land light deck.
Right.
It's sometimes the other way to approach it might be what they go with. Yeah, it's the Metamorph certainly might be a key that he's playing red, I think.
Again.
Right. I mean, there's some clues, right? Like the bird is also sort of a tip-off when there's no Land of War Elf, but there's a bird is also sort of an indicator.
Yeah, if you're just playing a green-white deck, you're probably not on birds. You probably... Well,
just Elf and Pilgrim, but he probably doesn't want Purge anyway, but...
So, we know already that Kibler is taking out his Birthing Pod plan.
Right, he's just trying to become a very smooth, efficient beatdown deck with some removal spells.
Yeah, and he's a much stronger deck post-board, too.
Yes. Although one of his losses did come to... At least one of his losses was actually to a Delver deck early in the tournament, which speaks to a lot of what
that's the power of Delver, yeah. The best, I think was that you were saying the best thing you can do against a deck like Delver is play all the cards that are good against it.
Yeah, Michael Jacobs.
Yeah. You can play all the cards that are good against it, and that's really all you can do, and if that's not enough, well...
You did what you could.
You did what you could.
Right.
Michael Jacob was still undefeated going to last round. I'm not sure if he's if he is still one of our undefeated players. I'm trying to look at who we have undefeated going into this round. I know that name's Jesse Hampton, still undefeated.
Yep.
Last round we saw it was
Brian Page is undefeated
Brian Page,
as well.
also
he moved
undefeated.
to 8-0 after that win.
I know those two for sure.
There were a lot of undefeateds after round 7.
After round 7 there were 19, so we should have about 4 or 5 undefeated players.
Quite a few.
And then the part which really excites me about the tournament is if you look at X1, you basically have the rest of the field, just, people who have a very large host of really strong players at X1.
Yep. Like we were talking about, when you're good and your deck's good and you have 3 buys, it's like the odds that you make day 2 are just
very good.
Insanely high. So you definitely want to be on Kibler's side of this battle going into the post-board games?
It's going into the post-board games that I think this just gets better for Kibler. The Talia is so good.
Because Kibler basically has his deck's just creatures and lands pretty much after board. So Thalia doesn't interfere with anything he's up to.
What I like is that what we saw that last game is Kibler won the game, other than Metamorph, solely off 1 and 2 drops. And post-board he gets more 1 and 2 drops. And that's just exactly where I want to be. Vapor Snag is exponentially better depending on the casting cost of your opponent's deck.
Yep.
There we saw Sharfman had to Vapor Snag and Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Right. Well, part of that was Kibler was jammed on 1 land, so he was hoping to just time walk him there, but Kibler going land Pilgrim or land Geist the following turn was... I think if Sharfman knew that he had a 4-us on top of his deck, he would not have run the snag, but with your opponent land screwed, it's a pretty attractive...
it's really attractive.
Boomeranging the land or whatever.
Especially when you have a Geist of Saint Traft, because you can just steal the game.
Right. So it looks like Sharfman's going down to 6. Kibler appears...
Yep. Now remember, Delver is a deck that mulligans very well.
Yeah. As we saw last round with our Game 3, our Delver player mulliganing to 5 and beating 7 out of the green-white ramp deck.
There's so many just high-impact plays. I've talked about it before. A Delver flipping a Mana Leak is so good, and,
Snapcaster can recoup cards. Yeah.
Right. You have ways to get cards back.
Moorland Haunt can effectively generate extra cards over the course of the game. You have a lot of just kind of free rolls that pick up cards along the way. So
there'll be probably a full set of Daybreak Ranger out of Brian Kibler, and that will really be that and the Huntmaster at the top of his curve. All right, so Sharfman with the dreaded turn 1 Delver, but that's exactly the exact response.
Nope.
Flip Gut Shot. So there's always those who play just groan.
Flip Gut Shot or Flip Leak.
Probably doesn't swing. If he swings, Kibler accepts the trade almost certainly.
Yeah, unless he's really tight on mana.
Right. Even then, I might still accept it. When Sharfman's on a mulligan.
Yeah, you just want to trade 1 for 1 and and
He can't have that many threats.
Yeah, right.
The deck only plays
16 guys.
creatures. Yeah.
So Kibler debating about how he wants to play against a potential mana leak. Runs a Geist out there.
I really like that play. I think because Sharfman has to counter it,
Right.
but it's really not what he wants to counter. And then yeah, hit him for the
Pilgrim's
one.
attacking. No reveal.
No reveal. One back, so both at 19. And
The Geist isn't trapped.
Yep, I
Not a bad start here.
Yeah, probably can't play the control game forever, so he's gonna just play the race game.
So the Kibler has a Blade Splicer in his hand.
Excellent. That'd be
Pretty
an excellent
awesome to
card.
have here,
Excellent,
yep.
awesome card right here. Obviously there's Vapor Snag would be an excellent card for Sharfman on this spot.
Merfolk of the Pearl Trident still chilling in play here.
It's one of those things. I know we were talking earlier. It's just like with Delver, could be so different of a game if he had.
There's a Dungeon Geist.
Ooh, and I really do like that play. It's
Attacking
safe.
with the Delver.
It's definitely safe. So
Pretty
and
aggressive.
he will make the trade. I don't like that. Attacking with the Delver, it pushes 2 additional damage, right? Because then the Geist gets an unblocked as opposed to getting chumped.
Yeah, but he can pick up those 2 points somewhere else.
Right. I don't think I really.
The play, I think I only like that play if he has Moorland Haunt and no play for the next turn.
Right. Well, Sharfman did it with such confidence. I feel like there's a play. There's something
Yeah.
going on here.
Right.
Something's afoot. But a Huntmaster at a Kibler, excellent. The hard thing is that even Dungeon Geist doesn't really answer Huntmaster of the Fells.
Yeah, nothing does.
2 gut shot, Snapcaster, gut shot. And he'd do it in a heartbeat if he had it. Which, as painful as it sounds, that play actually is like a very attractive play from him.
Yeah. The problem is he still has the Wolf back to trade with the Geist, so it's probably not worth using a ton of resources freeing up your Geist Exchange Trap, but I guess you just have to kill the Huntmaster any way you can, because left uncheck is just going to take the game over.
Right. He'll continue to gain life, continue. I mean, especially when your deck, the problem is that if Kibler flips the Huntmaster to a Ravager, Sharfman's deck is the kind of deck that sometimes wants to flip it back.
Right.
You can't even cast Snapcaster Mage.
I guess the other reason to potentially trade with the Blade Splicer last turn is if he's the threat of Birthing Pod. If he's worried about Kibler having that, that's an argument for getting a 3, because the rest of his board's all just like a Pilgrim and a Golem, so it shuts that off.
And Sharfman no play, so we have Ravager of the Fells. Dealing 2 to Dungeon Geist, 2 to Sharfman. If I'm Kibler, I would just try to slam 2 spells out here.
Yep. Or just kill the Dungeon Geist and just let the Huntmaster just take over.
Either. The fact that the Sharfman is unable to answer it
Corey Thompson, if you are
really a bad
available,
spot for him.
Please report to the side event stage. Corey Thompson, if you are available, please report to the side event stage.
We have a Daybreak. We'll see. O-Ring.
An Oblivion Ring.
Oblivion Ring.
Snapcaster for Mana Leak.
Now
And
the
I
worry
believe
here,
that's the last card in Sharfman's hand.
The worry here is that that's 2 spells out of Sharfman, so.
Yep.
Attention players, we will be closing pre-registration for the standard open in 7 minutes.
Talia
at
down,
9:30.
swing 6.
If you're
The first strike on
interested
Talia,
in getting
so
yourself
good right
signed up,
here.
come on up and see Jason over here on the left-hand side. of
Kibler
the
willing to
side
offer
event
up
stage.
his.
I believe Sharfman still has
He'll
cards.
get you in.
Judging by, looks like he's shuffling cards under the table.
No, I think he's out because his hand. Normally the judge would ask him to pick up, so I think that's it. So I think Sharfman debating about whether or not he wants to double block the 4/4.
It just seems like such a it seems like a losing line. I don't think
But
the
the Talia is already holding his 2 guys back is the issue. Like,
right.
You have obviously you have a lot of draws to kill Thalia and then have a ton of damage on the way back. But in the absence of that, like,
well, he can't race. The Huntmaster's going to flip back. So the racing here is just so bad. Yeah.
okay, yeah,
he's got to do it.
Trade it off. And so now we're at Wolf and Talia plus cards in hand versus Dungeon Geist on E. Just Sharfman on complete empty, so needs to draw pretty big from here.
But that said, and the board. Oh,
That
that
qualifies.
was pretty big.
That
All right. So now, having Kibler on a 2-turn clock, Kibler having Llanowar Elves. I can't see the last card. If it's not a removal spell, Sharfman can win this race.
Yeah, that was a gigantic draw.
And he chooses to tap down the Wolf and not the Talia. Talia.
Oh no, he got the Pilgrim.
Interesting. What's your take on that?
Because, well, it doesn't free up any attacks from Kibler's perspective because the 3/3 still holds back the two power creatures, and Kibler might need the mana for, a Titan or Worm Coil, some theoretical big creature he could have in his deck.
All right, I actually
If
a nice play then.
If Sharfman's under the impression that Kibler's actually just a flat Birthing Pod deck, if he's not familiar with his plan or whatever, like the 6 mana could be a really threatening flashpoint because Worm Coil or something along those lines just
Sun
ends the game.
Titan. Yeah.
Inferno Titan, whatever. I mean, there's some
Sun
potential.
Titan getting back O-Ring. Yeah.
Right. There's
so many lines, so many cards that would just make the game over.
right.
In the main Kibler, so Kibler has a Daybreak Ranger and a
Daybreak Ranger, a Llanowar Elf, and a land, I believe.
So what I
hand.
like about Daybreak Ranger is I think if you jam the Daybreak Ranger, you're forcing Sharfman to draw a spell. If Sharfman does not draw a spell, you're going to win. Because the Daybreak Ranger will flip, and then we'll be able to fight one of the Dungeon Geists. As long as it's not a land. Land here is really bad for Sharfman. I think anything else is pretty good.
Yep.
Ooh, and that's... He needed that to not be a land.
Well, yeah, Kibler still needs a flyer here. Or something to answer the other...
Oh, he's at 3. I thought he was at 6.
No, that was a...
I see.
That was a
I'm
6 ball.
off by 3. Well, that's a very relevant 3. Kibler in such command of this game, but still not. So what is he? He has 1, 2, 2
Kibler is
9,
just seems super frustrated.
Gavoni Township.
Yep.
He has him at 1 with the Township.
What's up?
If he Townships, activates, and swings, he puts Sharfman to 1. It's only a 13-point swing.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10.
9 power plus 4 creatures.
Yep.
So just a game of inches.
Yep.
And we're going to game 3. I really will like how Sharfman played that game.
Yep. And locking down the Pilgrim instead of one of his 2-power guys could have also influenced the Township math if Kibler had drawn that earlier. So.
Well, I mean, if Kibler draws the Township return earlier, the game's probably over in Kibler's favor.
Yeah.
Because then the 2-power guys can swing. Dungeon Geist has nothing to eat because it can't trade.
But yeah, I think Sharfman made a very good decision pinning down Kibler's mana as opposed to going after one of his 2-power guys.
And that's by the same token, though, Sharfman drawing a spell there probably also gets him the game.
Yeah.
Dungeon Geist. So yeah, I'm guessing off this that Sharfman's probably on a full set of Dungeon Geists.
Yeah,
now.
I mean this is pretty much the perfect matchup for them.
Right.
Kibler doesn't have a ton of answers. He's got his Daybreak Rangers and his Incinerates and whatever, but certainly they were awesome that game, and it was the perfect draw when it looked like Kibler was had staved off the worst of it and went from way ahead in the race and Sharfman with a 4-turn clock to way behind on a 2-turn clock.
Really good playing there.
Yeah. So Kibler looks like he's reaching for a sideboard, which is interesting because he made it sound like when he was in the booth he had a very set plan of how he was going about boarding.
Let's look at play versus draw out of Kibler. A card like, I know Daybreak Ranger is might be something that I think that he's changing his numbers on. Daybreak Ranger on the draw in this matchup is actually, or at least I played Daybreak Ranger a lot out of red-green in this matchup. And play versus draw, it's a very different card. The fact that you can sneak it with a bird, you can sneak it under a mana leak on the play, puts kind of the onus on Sharfman to either gut shot the bird, or really, have to put him in a very awkward situation if he just goes, mana creature Daybreak.
So are you in the impression that Kibler doesn't have the full 4 on the draw?
I'm not sure he has all 4 on the draw. On the draw, he might play Incinerate instead of Daybreak Ranger to simply, to guarantee a turn 2 killing of a Delver. I might go for that plan more, but on the play, I think I'd want 4 Daybreaks.
Well, the impression that Kibler gave when he was in the booth was like all those cards were coming in no matter
what.
The Thalias, Incinerates, and Daybreak Rangers. Those 7 were coming in for like 2 Birthing Pods, like the Inferno Titan, the Asig Slime, the Vorpede, and like 2 other of the randomizers, like
Fiend Hunter.
Although Fiend Hunter seems fine against.
Yeah,
I wouldn't cut that card either. So.
So maybe I'm trying to think of like what to be reboarding. And
Yeah,
the biggest card
yeah.
I see that changing on the play in the draw is Daybreak Ranger here.
Yeah, I'm just curious about him reboarding at all because when he was in here, he made it sound like he had a very
Right.
confident, like these are what's coming in, these are what's coming out, like this is just the way it is.
Well, a lot of players, run a slight deception in that I've seen, lots of players will shuffle their sideboard into their deck every game, shuffle their deck, then pull out 15 cards,
Yeah.
set them aside, and possibly they're the exact same 15.
I see Sam Black is. I birded him
He's of
in
that
Baltimore,
school.
and yeah, he is very shuffle in 15 out.
Yeah. Well, especially like I really like doing that. I will do that when I'm playing against a deck, say a Dredge in Legacy. I will always sideboard that way because
Yeah, you don't want him to know.
you don't want them to know. They know that every card you're boarding in is probably stone nuts against them, and they want to know how many there are. They want to know, how many different answers there are. So you don't want to. That's valuable information.
Right. There's also if you just like grab. If you just grab 4 cards off a stack and slam them down, they're very likely to know, well, it's probably 4 copies of the same card, which influences like therapies and Python needles. Like there's a ton of stuff that.
Right, in a matchup like this, in standard, largely Sharfman's on his own plan, regardless of what Kibler boards in. But Kibler could probably, right now, say to Sharfman, I boarded in all the rest of the daybreaks, and Sharfman probably shrug and be like,
this does not change anything about what I do.
Yeah. Two really well played. Both players pretty jovial about the match.
All right, which is pretty cool to see since there's definitely a lot on the line for both players. Not only making day 2, but Sharfman, as you said, battling for gold level, and like Kibler, if he fails to day 2, he can no longer tweet about the tournament. And so they both have just.
I know, and I'll have to stop listening to his song again.
Right, just a ton at stake for both players here.
All right, so those are winning. Kibler winning the first game off triple Strangleroot Geist and a mana creature. Though, look, interesting. First game looked like Sharfman had control, but Kibler steals it off 3 Strangleroot Geists.
Yep.
I would say the second game looks like Kibler has control of it, and then Sharfman steals it off 2 Dungeon Geists.
Yep.
So, both Geists very important. Both games very back and forth. It's been a really good match.
Yep. Both times the player who looked like they were losing on turn 3 went on to win the game. So,
yeah,
pretty cool. Kibler keeping his 7.
Sharfman
Looking
debating
perturbed.
more, and he's
Keeping.
okay with it. So turn 1 birds. Last time Sharfman had a gut shot for it. This time he will play his own Delver.
Yeah, no gut shot.
So here's I think this is a situation exactly like bam Daybreak Ranger.
Right.
It would be so nice, so strong here. Doesn't have it. More mana creatures. And just a pass.
There's a snag.
And that's what he was okay, and the incinerate for it.
Yep. Kibler potentially happy to wait another turn on the incinerate if he doesn't flip it now with the information he wants to get rid of it.
Right. And so Sharfman opting not to snag his own Delver, which I think is almost certainly correct in the
we were
matchup.
still in the upkeep at that point.
Oh, snagged on his hand.
Yeah.
See. And
oh my goodness, a Gavany Township and a Garrick the Relentless killing and flipping. So
that's backbreaking there.
And another mana creature. So that Township is going to be taking this game over.
Wow. And here's like
not a shabby draw.
mana creatures are just so strong against Delver.
Yep.
Just the ability on turn 1 to start getting ahead. Kibler, commanding presence.
Right. And Bird plus Township is going to be able to like hold back a lot of stuff in the air potentially that Sharfman could be doing. Garrick's going to start jamming out 2/2 Death Touch creatures.
Well, there's that. Let's not forget that also Garrick can toolbox into the rest of it.
Yeah.
Well, Garrick can jam out 1/1 Death Touch, can jam out Death Touch creatures, and then has an overrun. The flip side actually does have an ultimate. It's -3 even.
Yeah,
so it's coming. It's relevant. It's coming up, and it's equal to the number of creatures in the yard. It's an ability you don't use very often, which is why I'm asking.
Right. But it would be a nice way for this day to end.
Right.
Garrick the Relentless backside ultimate. I feel happy going out on that note.
It's pretty funny. I've played Garrick the Relentless in more than one tournament, and I'm still not fuzzy on its ultimate.
Well, he has like 7 abilities or whatever, so it's hard to
those
keep
aren't
track.
the ones you use. You use the 2 front of. Yeah. So triple Delver from Sharfman. One of these is one of those hands. Imagine this one on the play. Delver. Incinerated. Okay, Delver.
Yep.
Like, just so different.
So I guess Kibler has to debate about whether or not he's content to sit back and jam his township, or if he actually wants to play more spells into a potential mana leak.
I almost, as Kibler, certainly would make a Death Touch Wolf and just activate Township.
Yeah.
And just do nothing.
That seems like a good starting point.
You have you have precisely enough mana. Yeah, maybe swing one guy.
Yeah, send one, because you're going to Township anyway.
And just do it now.
And we're going to town.
Ooh. Alright. And yeah, so it turns out mana creatures plus land is all you need.
Yep.
Counters on everything. One. Carefully picking which die he's using.
I mean, Sharfman basically needs to flip this turn to be able to get Garrick off the table. Otherwise, the edge is going to be...
Even so, I'm not sure. I'm fuzzy on Sharfman's way to get back in.
Oh, he's way behind, but, I mean, step one is he's got to get this thing flipped over.
So he's going to Thought Scour himself, see what he can get into. Get 2 lands off the top, that's probably pretty good.
So, step one, not flipping. That is really bad. Really bad for Sharfman.
Not actually doing anything right now, but there's just a stream of wolves.
Yeah. It's
too much.
Every guy plus Township is just it is only getting worse from here. It's very realistic for Kibler to win without actually casting another spell for the remainder of the game.
He's gonna Vapor Snag the token, but still, I mean, hitting in on the
he's gonna attack
for one, but only for one still.
Yeah.
Problem is with one more activation, basically all Kibler's creatures will be out of range of anything Sharfman can do about it.
Yeah, and even here, he can just basically Kibler can make a token and say go and hang back with the bird, and the Township actually will get the bird to be big enough to trade with the Delver.
Right.
So it's not even at this point even flipping is not necessarily going to be enough to get Sharfman out from under this.
Like you said before, coming back from behind with Delver, very difficult.
Yeah.
You look at boards like this and you say, if I could stack Sharfman's deck, I would make it be. You try to fill in the blank, and you guys, I'm not sure there is a fill in the blank.
Well, basically, I feel like the starting point is he needs to snag the bird, flip his Delver, get Garrick off the table, and then he can start getting himself back into the game.
Right, but by that point, there's what mana, 4/4 mana creatures, or there's by the time he's done that, that's
well, even Snapcaster plus flipping this turn, he's got, he can start clawing his way back in the game with something just as simple as that.
He needs about like 2 or 3, two choice draws.
So he has the Snapcaster.
Didn't flip the Delver though.
Yeah, he's gonna send the bird back.
Right, so at least this keeps the bird small enough where the Delver, when it does flip, can eat the Garruk.
Yeah, so he needs to, we need to flip here basically. And there's a ponder,
okay.
All right, so we got a game.
Okay, so the perfect storm asked you if you could stack his deck, then you called his plays, and you might have another one of these back and forth games where the unexpected person ends up the victory. The bigger issue I'm seeing here is that Kibler's life total is still 18.
Yeah, and he's got 4 in the hand or something like that.
He's 4 in the hand, and these creatures that are on the table, these wolves and elves, they're big.
Yep.
And even if he kills the Garruk, Kibler can go on the path of hit you, play a dude, and I'm not sure Sharfman races it.
Yeah. And that's even without accounting that Kibler just can now start casting the spells he's been sitting on for forever.
Presumably Kibler has some
Blade Splicers and some whatever.
Splicers, yeah. If Kibler has, say, an Incinerate for this insectile aberration, that...
Yeah, there's a lot of horrible things that can happen.
So ponder, and
Sharfman is by no means out of the woods yet, but he has some actual game.
He has some life. Another land. Still good, probably to have 5 lands, about the max of what you want. Kibler we can put probably not on an Incinerate at this point.
Yeah, I feel like we would have seen it at this point. So it appears that Sharfman is just saying go with his 4 mana up.
Sadly doesn't have a Moorland Haunt. That would be a really nice draw for him. Alright, so now Kibler gets to empty out and we get to see what he actually has. And I believe he has Geist. I know he has a Birds in his hand, a Geist. I think it's a Metamorph. So nothing like terrifying, you know, no Huntmaster, no
But
Daybreak
yeah,
Ranger.
he's trying to close this game out quick.
Yep. Sharfman has the ability to pull away, just as soon stop that from happening. The Vapor Snag in Sharfman's yard is gone, so he's probably going to have to just take a lot of damage.
Right.
The Pilgrims are still 1/1s, or 2/2s.
Also, from Kibler's perspective, the odds that Sharfman has some sort of counterspell in his hand are high enough that it's worth just...
Actually, the Pilgrims are 3/3s right now, aren't they?
Yeah, the Pilgrims are 3/3s. The Wolf is a 2/2.
Okay. All right, so another Vapor Snag. This is the line Sharfman needs to get back in it. Taking 5. But
yeah, now he's in a place where like Dungeon Geist represents a huge draw.
Dungeon Geist could get this game.
Yeah.
He's down to 1 card. You know, spending cards on Vapor Snags is...
Yep.
That way, as the game goes longer, his ability to control the game shrinks more.
Yeah. Pretty impressive for I mean, Kibler's still stuck on his 3 lands here, which is compressing a lot of his action, but he for Kibler's start to be explosive as it was, and for us to actually have a game here is pretty insane.
Really awesome. No more land, it looks like, for Sharfman, so he's got 2 business spells. One is, we'll see.
There's a pike.
All right, let's get a count on
my.
That could, well, there's still birds in Kibler's hand,
he still has at least a chump blocker.
So they're in the yard, we see...
Kibler just ripped a land, too. He drew a plains.
Well, let's see. Okay, so that was just for 6, so it's only a +3/+0? Or +4/+0, because he was at 8... No, 17. 3, so it's 3. He's at 17 after the Vapor Snag. And he's got to hope against another Vapor Snag here.
Kibler shuffling his hand furiously.
One of those things that sometimes is a tell. I'm not sure if it is with him, but Kibler quite renowned for his shuffling. But
yeah, I mean, I think I've played with him a fair bit, like we live next door to each other.
Sure.
And I do think that his body language is pretty identifiable, but a lot of that might be just familiarity.
So you'd say fast shuffling like this probably is like the possibility. Kibler feeling like
he feels he's under the gun.
It's possible he might be able to lose this game.
Like he played his Garrick in a very confident manner, like.
Right.
So yeah.
There's a plains.
It's a lot of nervous energy.
We know he has plains, birds, Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Yeah, we have those as confirmed in hand. So then the issue is like, it's likely, do I play my mana creatures and try to do something big the following turn, or do I just make one big play here and try to race the insect, knowing that I have a bird as a chump blocker on the way back?
And the problem is Snapcaster, another Vapor Snag. There's a lot of cards.
A lot of things that can go wrong.
Scary right now. I like that. Blade
Slicer is pretty awesome.
So Blade Slicer puts 4 power into the table, which in addition to the 5 you just hit him with, is a lethal swing. Birds is a chump blocker.
And you had to assume Kibler is absolutely blocking because Gutshot and Vapor Snag means he might not get another window too. So if Sharfman just sends in cold, I'm confident Kibler's just blocking.
I think Sharfman drew Glacial Fortress, so not any help for him there. Really close. Sharfman can't really go on the line of blocking at all here.
There's no way.
There's no way. The Golem first strikes anyway, so it doesn't eat it. The Strangleroot Geist lives twice.
Trying to play a long defensive game against a million creatures, spells in hands, and Township is probably a losing proposition.
We have another Vapor Snag?
Yeah, he can't just snag the bird and ship because I think Sharfman's just dead on the way back.
He's dead on the way back. So he's going to need a creature. If Sharfman doesn't have a creature of any sort, I don't see how he gets this.
Right. I mean, yeah, he's got 2 in hand, and they both have to be pretty good. Snag plus Dungeon Geist, it's got to be something like in that. Yeah, so Kibler's just blocking
the birds. That really, really puts an onus on Sharfman to do something good here. So, okay, Thought Scouring himself.
And he did bring in Celestial Purge.
He did bring in Purge. He's now up +1 on his spell count.
It's a little weird for him to do that after combat unless there's something like...
It's an instant, so I suppose there's no problem. You can wait to see if the bird blocks or not.
But, like, theoretically, you have a bunch of big draws that could influence what's happening inside of combat.
That's probably true. There's some draws. I don't think there's any line which doesn't result in Sharfman swinging the Delver. So
what if...
pretty safe.
Like, is there a snag in the graveyard?
There is a snag. So if he drew a Snapcaster there?
Yeah, if he draws a Snapcaster, snags the bird, he can still block out of next turn, presumably. because he can block the golem and take not lethal, and then a draw to kill the bird on the way back gets it done. But it's hard to know without knowing what the other card in Sharfman's hand was.
And here's Snapcaster, and he's going to snag the Pilgrim. So as opposed to the Golem, he goes for the Pilgrim.
Again, Kibler's hand is like so mana light and action heavy that I think he just wants to compress the action. Because
it's a 2-turn clock either way.
Yeah, all of Kibler's attackers, because of Township, are close to just lethal no matter what.
The problem is that Sharfman's next swing is not lethal.
Right.
He could draw a Thought Scour, and you can chain some Thought Scours. There are ways to make it lethal, but it's not. Or a Pike. A Pike would probably, if Kibler has no plays, Sharfman's looking to draw Thought Scour, Pike, Mutagenic Growth, I think, gets it as well. He has a one of, though I'm not sure he keeps it in. I never can ponder into any of those. So he has actually.
Mutagenic Growth seems like pretty sweet in this matchup. There's a lot of creature fighting. I would imagine it's in.
I know from
Incinerate too against Dungeon Guys.
So Jesse Hampton, who's 8-0, and Otters Poacher is 7-1. I know we're both running lots of them. And they explained to me, I asked him why the change toward Mutagenic Growth. And the way he was explaining it to me, he said, Delver's got a lot of nut draws, and Mutagenic Growth makes those nut draws completely invincible.
Yeah.
Oh, I might nut draw with Delver. Oh, gut shot at Growth.
Right.
Sharfman. Actually, wait. Is Mutagenic Growth an out? No, that kills himself. He's going to drop to 2. So Growth.
No, I mean he has Snapcaster to chump here. You can just put it in front of the Golem.
Counting, he has 1, 2, I believe 5 in yard. So it's 8 damage right now.
I mean, presumably he's blocking with Snapcaster Mage here because it's so unlikely that the Snapcaster gets to attack next turn.
And that also actually, if the Arcanon's Graveyard is right, that also makes Gut Shot another out. 1 to the face, 1 more to the pike, would be exactly 10.
Yeah.
So I think I would think he comes to the conclusion that Snapcaster blocks here.
Yeah, it's just an issue if he wants to trade with the Blade Splicer, or if he wants to trade, or if he wants to just chump the Golem, and it's just what's the trade versus the 1 damage worth.
Well, the question is there any possible way that he's not dead on the attack, on the next attack? Can he buy himself a second shot at getting this out?
I mean, Dungeon Geist is the only thing that could even theoretically do that, so I guess that's the consideration.
And Kibler's gonna. Fortunately from Kibler did not have the land, so we can't. All right,
Blade Splicer. Okay, so Kibler is naked, as it were. So
5 instants in Sharfman's yard.
We got some draws.
8. All right, let's do it. See what
Very slow on tap.
So Gut Shot, Ponder,
Thought
Scour. I think he has a Gut Shot. Is that lethal?
Nope. He does not have it.
So he does not. So Brian Kibler wins a Nail Biter in 3.
Yeah, I think he's explaining that he could have metamorphed the insect, but there was some reason holding him back from running that play. I guess he probably dies to a lot of the same cards.